This is lesson 11.5, which is called Fractions to Decimals. Your objective here is to understand the two ways to change fractions to decimals. And these are the two ways that we do like to teach in 5th grade, so you should be familiar with both of them. First, you need to know that there are two options to changing fractions to decimals. I'm going to be teaching both options, and I am going to be saying that as I teach them, you might be using one option more than the other. But first, let's talk about option number 1. The first option is to make an equivalent fraction with 100 as the denominator. So as you can see, I wrote 1/5 down below. If I make an equivalent fraction, meaning my denominator must be 100, I have to be able to decide what did I multiply 5 by to get to 100. Well, knowing my math facts, I know that 5 times 20 equals 100. So to find my new numerator, I have to multiply 1 by 20, and my answer is going to be 20 hundredths. Now, to change this into decimal format, I can just say its name, which is 20 hundredths, which equals decimal to 0. So, 1/5 changed into a decimal is 20 hundredths, or 2/10, or 0.2. And that is my answer. The second option that I am going to stress is using division. One thing you have to already know is that a fraction is a decimal problem already. So I know that 1/5 actually equals 1 divided by 5. To figure out the decimal form from a fraction, all you have to do is just perform this division problem. So on my paper, I'm going to be doing 1 divided by 5. To do this, you have to first put your 1 as your dividend. Your 5 is going to be your divisor, and then we just start dividing. 5 can't go into 1, but it can go into 10. 2 times, so I'm going to put the 2 over the 0 because 5 is going into 10. 5 times 2 is 10. And when I subtract, I have nothing left over. I need to make sure that I bring my decimal up above. So 1/5 equals 0.2, which is 2/10 or 20 hundredths, which is the same answer that I got from my question in the slide before. One thing to be aware of is that many denominators are not equivalent to 100. So the option 2, which is division, is usually an easier and faster option. Take, for example, 2/7. 7 is my denominator, and it does not make a fraction that has 100 as its denominator. There is nothing I can multiply by 7 to equal 100. So there is no way that I can go about even doing option 1 for this problem. So as a result, I'm just going to go ahead and realize that I can use division. 2/7 is the same thing as saying 2 divided by 7. So I'm going to take 2 and divide it by 7. 7 does not go into 2, but 7 does go into 20. And it goes into 20 2 times. 2 times 7 is 14. 20 minus 14 is 6. I need to add a 0 and bring my 0 down. 7 goes into 60 8 times. 7 times 8 is 56. Subtract once again. I'm going to get a 4. Add another 0. 7 goes into 40 5 times. And 7 times 5 is 35. Now notice I can keep subtracting, and this problem will keep on going on forever. One thing you should know about fractions is that they do produce some types of decimals that will go on and on forever. So usually I like to stop at either the hundredths or the thousandths. A lot of times I just look at the worksheet and it will tell you where it wants you to stop at. So in this case, I know that my answer, 2/7 equals decimal 285 or 285 thousandths. Now, looking at this fraction, I can see that I have two options of solving this problem. So I'm going to show you both of them. Option number 1 is changing 2/5 into a fraction that has 100 as its denominator. I had to go ahead and multiply 5 by 20 to get to 100. So I'm going to do the same thing to the top, and my answer is 40 100ths, which equals 40 100ths. Option number 2. Option number 2, I can just go ahead and use division. 2 divided by 5. I'm going to take 2, divide it by 5. Actually, I'm going to go ahead and erase this right here. I don't like that -2. Okay, better. I'm going to take 2, divide it by 5. 5 doesn't go into 2, but 5 does go into 20. It goes into 20 4 times. 5 times 4 is 20. I can subtract. Once I get to 0, I know I'm done and my decimal goes straight up. So my answer for both solutions is still 40 hundredths or 4 tenths. They are the same exact decimal. So once again, there are two options. Practice problem number 1. Feel free to pause, however, I will be solving this using division. To answer this question, I'm going to be doing the division problem 4 divided by 5. 5 does not go into 4, but it does go into 40 8 times. 8 times 5 is 40, and when I subtract, I get a 0, so my answer is just going to be 8 tenths. Practice problem number 2. This time I'm forced to use division. Feel free to pause. To solve this question, I'm going to be doing 8 divided by 9. 9 doesn't go into 8, but it does go into 80. 9 times 8 is 72. 80 subtract 72 is 8. Going to add a 0, bring my 0 down. 9 goes into 80 8 times. 9 times 8 is 72. Notice I have a pattern going on here. So I know that I can stop, and I'm going to just go ahead and say that my answer is going to be 88 hundredths. Yes, there is a line that I could put over top, but you can just go ahead and put 88 hundredths. Please go ahead and write a smiley face up for how well you understand, and also include a question if you have one.